What really happened to Princess Diana on that fateful night? In the early hours of August 31st, 1997, around 12:23 a.m. in Paris, Princess Diana was still alive. Minutes later, she wouldn't be. A black Mercedes S280 sped into the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Moments later, the world would lose the people's princess. Princess Diana, a mother, a humanitarian, a global icon, and the most photographed woman on Earth, was pronounced dead hours after the crash. Her companion, Dodi Fayed, and the driver, Henry Paul, died instantly. One car, one tunnel, and a night that left behind shock, grief, and questions that never went away. This is the story of the final hours of Princess Diana, and the mystery the world is still trying to understand. The day before the incident, on August 30th, Diana and Dodi Fayed arrived in Paris after spending time in the south of France. They checked into the Ritz Hotel, owned by Dodi's father, Mohammed Al Fayed. Paparazzi trailed them constantly. Motorcycles, cars, cameras, everywhere. Diana was used to being followed. But in Paris that night, the chase felt different. It was more aggressive and relentless. In an attempt to evade paparazzi. That night, Dodi decided they would leave the Ritz quietly and slip away to his apartment near the Champs-Élysées. A decoy car was sent out to the front. Diana and Dodi slipped out the back. Their driver, by name Henry Paul, was the hotel's deputy head of security. He was joined by bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, the only survivor. But the paparazzi spotted them almost instantly. The crash. At 12:23 a.m., the Mercedes entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel at high speed, trying to outrun photographers on motorcycles. Inside the tunnel, the car struck the 13th pillar head-on. The impact was catastrophic. Dodi and Henry Paul died immediately. Diana was critically injured but alive. Paparazzi surrounded the wreck, taking photos of the accident. Shocking, right? Emergency teams arrived minutes later. Diana was conscious when rescuers reached her. She was heard whispering, "Oh my God, leave me alone." She was taken to the Pitié-Salpêtrière hospital. Doctors operated for hours. At 4:53 a.m., August 31st, Princess Diana was pronounced dead. She was just 36 years old. When the news broke, shockwaves ripped across the globe. People poured into the streets. Flowers flooded the gates of Kensington Palace. Millions cried openly, something rarely seen for a public figure. TV stations around the world stopped programming. News anchors broke down on camera. The world didn't just lose a princess, it lost a symbol of compassion, warmth, and humanity. The investigation begins. French authorities immediately launched an inquiry. The initial findings were that the car was speeding. The driver, Henry Paul, had alcohol in his system. Paparazzi motorcycles were close behind. 7 photographers were detained. Worldwide anger surged. But the story was far from over. Conspiracy theories explode. Within days, theories filled newspapers and TV screens. Was the driver's blood test accurate? Were the paparazzi responsible? Was the royal family involved? Was the MI6 involved? Why did emergency response take so long? Millions questioned the official version, especially after statements from Mohammed Al Fayed, Dodi's father, who insisted foul play was involved. But no evidence ever supported these claims. Operation Paget, 2004 to 2006. Years later, the UK launched Operation Paget, a massive investigation into all conspiracy allegations. Conclusions were no evidence of murder. The crash resulted from high speed and an impaired driver. Paparazzi contributed, but were not the primary cause. Though official, the findings didn't silence the speculation. The funeral. On September 6, 1997, the world finally said goodbye. Over 2.5 billion people watched the funeral worldwide, one of the largest broadcasts in history. Princes William and Harry walked behind their mother's coffin. Elton John performed a reworked version of Candle in the Wind. Millions cried as the cortege passed. It was one of the most emotional moments in modern history. Diana's legacy, Princess Diana, wasn't just a princess. She was far more than a member of the royal family. She became a global symbol of kindness and empathy in a world that often lacked both. She used her position to champion humanitarian causes, standing with the vulnerable when others looked away. At the height of fear and stigma, she publicly embraced AIDS patients, changing how the world viewed the disease and those living with it. She walked through active landmine fields, drawing global attention to the devastating human cost of war long after the headlines faded. And within the British monarchy, she quietly but powerfully broke barriers, choosing compassion, accessibility, and authenticity over rigid tradition. Above all, she was a mother, deeply devoted, fiercely loving. Her sons carry forward her spirit. Her charities continue their work. Decades later, her influence remains immeasurable, not in titles or protocol, but in lives touched, attitudes changed, and a legacy of humanity that still inspires the world. More than 2 decades later, the world is still searching for answers. Yet what endures most is not the mystery, but the woman herself. Princess Diana was imperfect, human, courageous, and deeply compassionate. Her life was cut short by tragedy, but her influence continues to shape hearts and change lives. She was never defined by royalty alone. She was defined by her humanity. If this story resonated with you, remember to like the video and subscribe for more powerful moments from history. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.